Does Paul believe that the righteousness of justification in Christ is counterfactual, or does he think that God's grace actually makes believers righteous? Hi, I'm Michael Barber. I'm professor of biblical studies and theology here at the Augustine Institute Graduate School. We're located in St. Louis, Missouri. And there's really no question for anyone that Paul thinks that Christ, quote, died for the ungodly, Romans 5. As he goes on in Romans 5, he says, God proves his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us, Romans 5:8. But is the righteousness of God that comes by faith only about legal standing in Christ, such that it remains alien to the believer, extranos, outside of the believer? That's what many in the Reformed Protestant tradition have believed. However, it doesn't really make sense of other passages in Paul to think that. Most notably, let me just stay within Romans 5. Paul goes on there to talk about Adam and Christ. He writes, "For just as through the one man's disobedience, the many were made sinners," and here Paul is talking about Adam, because of Adam, the many were made sinners. Paul goes on to say, so through the one man's obedience, Christ, many will be made righteous. Romans 5:19. Notice that Paul really thinks that Adam's sin makes people sinners. The many were made sinners. So when he goes on to say that through Christ, many will be made righteous, can't simply mean that he's referring to just legal standing. Adam really makes people sinners, right? In some way, Adam's disobedience leads to people really becoming sinners. It's not just legal standing. And so in Christ, the many are made righteous. So here we have to think that the justification that comes through the righteousness, I should say, that comes through justification in Christ really has to entail a kind of transformative state, right? It can't just be about legal standing. Yes, Christ is put forward for our righteousness, but this can't simply mean that the righteousness remains outside of the believer. We're not justified by our own righteousness, but by Christ's. But there has to be a transformative dimension of that righteousness to make sense of that passage in Paul. Thanks so much for watching. Please consider sharing this video, liking this video, commenting on this video. Love to hear your thoughts so that you don't miss more videos from me. The algorithm is aware of the fact. Let the algorithm know you want to see more content like this. See you soon.